Okay, in this section, there's really nothing new. We're just going to practice solving linear equations. But we already know our steps for solving linear equations, right? If you have an equal sign, and if it's an equation, it has an equal sign, you get rid of the fractions, right? Get rid of fractions, get rid of parentheses, simplify each side of the equation, move variables to the same side, okay? Undo anything being added or subtracted to the variable, undo anything being multiplied to the variable. So let's just practice that. Okay, it says solve this equation and check the solution. All right, so there's no fractions, but I have parentheses. This time, though, I can't do what's inside the parentheses. So to get rid of them, we're going to use that distributive property. Everything else is going to stay the same. Negative 2 plus 3 times 2x is 6x, and 3 times 7 is 21, equals 7 plus 3x. Okay, simplify anything you can on each side. So I've got two constants here that I can add together. So the 6x is just going to stay 6x. But 21 minus 2 is 19. There's nothing I can do on the other side. They're not like terms, so I can't combine them. Okay, now I'm going to put all my variables on this left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. That means that's gone over here. And now I only have 3 x's on this side. Now undo whatever's being added or subtracted to the variable term. So I'm going to subtract 19. So that's a 0 now. So 3x plus 0 is just 3x. And 7 minus 19 is negative 12. Undo whatever's being multiplied to that variable term. We undo multiplication with division. So x is negative 4. Okay, and it asks us to check it, so we can always check any equation. I'm just going to plug this in everywhere there's an x and make sure that it makes my equation true. Is that really the same? Okay, so inside parentheses first, right? So everything else is going to stay the same. But inside parentheses, I got two things to do. So multiplication first, negative 8 plus 7. Okay, is that the same thing as, and 3 times negative 4 is negative 12. Still have parentheses over here. So negative 2 plus 3 times negative 1 is that negative 5. Is negative 2 minus 3 equal negative 5? Yes, it checks. So one great thing is we can always check our equations and see that we have the right answer. Okay. Now, if there's not a numeral written in front of the parenthesis, remember it's understood to be a 1. So it's negative 1 that I've got to distribute to get rid of those parentheses. Parentheses first. 8a minus 3 minus 2a has to equal 3a plus 1. Here's some math I can do. So 8a minus 2a is 6a minus 3 equals 3a plus 1. Okay, let's subtract 3a from both sides. So we have 3a minus 3 equals 1. Undo what's being added or subtracted to the variable. So let's add 3 to both sides. And then undo what's being multiplied to the variable. And you can always check your answer. Okay, this one has fractions, but that's okay because we have an equal sign, right? So to get rid of fractions, we need a common denominator between 5, 10, and 2. What is it? Yeah, it's got to be at least as big as the biggest or bigger. And so it is, in this case, 10. So I'm going to multiply everything, all the way across by 10. Don't forget that term right there, that x term, right? You got to do every term, not just the fractions. Now right here, 10 divided by 5 is 2. So this is really 3 times 2 times x. 10 divided by 10 is 1, so they just completely cancel out. So it's negative 1 times 1, or negative 1x. And now there's no denominator to divide, so I'm just got 10x, 10 times x, x times 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5, so this is negative 5 times 5. And now it's just like the other equations, right? I do any math I can do. 6x minus x is 5x. Put all your variables on the same side. So I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides, so there's no x's left over here. So negative 5x equals negative 25, and divide by negative 5 to get that x all by itself. So x is positive 5. Okay, no fractions, but I have parentheses, so let's distribute. 4 times 8, 32 minus 12t equals 32 minus 8t minus 16, right? Okay, here's some math that I can do. So let's do any math you can do on each side. There's nothing to do on the left-hand side because one's a constant and one's a variable term. So 32 minus 16 is 16 minus 8t. Let's put all our variables on the same side. It's the same steps over and over for solving a linear equation. Okay, so this is now 32 minus 4t. And let's undo whatever's being added or subtracted to the variable. So I need to subtract 32 so that I have negative 4t equals negative 16. Undo whatever's being multiplied to the variable. So divide by negative 4. So 1t equals positive 4. Okay. Going to get rid of those parentheses. 5x minus 15 equals, if I distribute there, I've got 5x minus 15. Hey, we might notice something at this point. This is the exact same equation on both sides. If I continue my process of solving it though, notice what happens. I'm going to move, there's no other math I can do, so I'm going to put all my variables on the same side. Uh-oh. If your variables disappear, remember, now this is nothing new, but just remember, if your variables disappear, it means something special. If you're working the problems like we were before, and you wind up ... x equals a number, t equals a number, right? You box it and you're done. But if your variables disappear, you have to decide, hey, this is either a no solution or infinite solutions, which we can call all real numbers. Okay, and if I have the same thing on both sides, this is an all real number one, right? All real numbers is my answer. If I had negative 15 equals 7 or something crazy like that, then it's a no solution. It's like, no it doesn't. But negative 15 is always negative 15. So all numbers I put in there would work. Okay, let's distribute that negative 7. 2w minus 7w minus 7 equals negative 5w plus 4. Okay, do any math you can do. So negative 5w minus 7 equals negative 5w plus 4. Put all your variables on the same side. Whoops, and look. What does it mean if your variables disappear? What does it mean in this particular situation? Negative 7 is not 4. No matter what I do, it will never be 4. So that's our, do it a little bit nicer, our empty set, no solution symbol. The set of answers is empty. Okay, fractions again. How do we get rid of fractions? What is the common denominator? 8. Okay, so we're going to multiply everything, every term by 8. Every term by 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. So this is 5 times 1m, or 5m. 10 times 8 is 80. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So this is 3 times 2m, or 6m. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So this is 1 times 4m, or 4m. Okay, do any math you can do. Since there's no parentheses, our next step is just to combine those like terms. Okay, put your variables all on the same side. Normally we always move them to the left, but remember we've talked about this, we don't really have to, and it would save me a step here since I don't have any numbers on this side, only variables, to just make that my variable side. Okay, if you wanted to subtract 10m, that's fine. As a matter of fact, just for some of us that want to always do it the same way, let's look at what that would mean. Okay, when you subtract 10m, remember that makes that 0. So you'd have negative 5m minus 80 equals 0. Don't just lose your equal sign. That's a 0 over there. And then you add 80 to both sides and continue. Okay, so over here we've got negative 80 equals 5m. Undo what's being multiplied to your variable. So then we have, what is that, negative 16? Yep. Okay, remember, terminating decimals are fractions. So that means I can get rid of these decimals too. You get rid of fractions or decimals, first step. When you multiply by 10, it moves your decimal one place, right? If you multiply by 100, it moves it 2. So really what we're doing is we're just multiplying this by either 10, 100, or 1,000 to move the decimal. But I get a shortcut with decimals. I find the one with the most decimal places. Both of these have 2. And then I move all of them the same amount. So if I'm going to move this 2 places, that makes that 20v. If I move this 2 places, that makes that minus 3. There's no decimals inside the parentheses. And if I move this 2 places, that makes that minus 6. And then I don't have to worry about my decimals anymore. So let's get rid of parentheses. Minus 33 minus 3v equals negative 186. Okay, here's some math we can do. 20v minus 3v is 17v minus 33 equals negative 186. Let's add 33 to both sides. Now remember, because these signs are different, I'm really subtracting those numbers, right? Signs are different, so I'm going to subtract them. So I'll get, and keep the sign in front of the larger one. So negative 153. And then undo whatever's being multiplied times that v. So v is negative, and if you have to go over to the side and see what that is, that's fine. Let me see if I can do it without doing that. Yeah, I think that's negative 9. Let's double check ourselves. 17 times 9. 9 times 7 is 63. 9 and 6 is 15. Yeah, negative 9. Okay, one more. Good, a fraction 1. Okay, so I need a common denominator. Now remember, when we multiply by that denominator, we do not multiply inside parentheses. Not inside parentheses. Every term, not inside parentheses. So it's these two denominators I'm looking at. And that denominator is 12. So I've got to multiply. Whoa, I don't want that. What happened there? Okay. So I've got to multiply this by 12. This term by 12. And this term by 12. Not inside parentheses. When we get rid of the parentheses, it automatically goes in there. But every term. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So this is 2 times 4k, or 8k. Now there's no number out here, so it's a 1. So 12 times 1 is just 12. Twelve divided by 12 is 1, so 1 times 1 is 1, but I still have the k plus 4. Okay, so I got rid of as many fractions as I could. I can't get rid of this fraction until I get rid of the parentheses, right? It's hooked together inside those parentheses. So next step, get rid of parentheses. So I'm going to distribute that negative 12. So negative 12 times k is negative 12k. And remember, when you're multiplying fractions, if I'm going to multiply that by 12, what happens? That's the same thing we were doing up there. So hey, they were nice to us and it got rid of that one when I distributed. So then this is 1 times 3, or 3. Okay, and then 1 times k and 1 times 4. Do your math, simplifying math on either side. Put all your variables on one side. And all your numbers on the other. Divide by that negative 5. And our answer then must be negative 1/5. Okay, let me know if you have questions.